Hey there, Shankar, everybody. Welcome back for another amazing episode of the MRHB Crypto Show. Today, we got a lot of interesting topics, but before those topics, Moby, how's your day? How are the spiders, and how's the family?
Good, man. Good, good. We've evolved from kangaroos to spiders, I can see. Ahmed. So, spiders are good. Spiders are good. You have to ask the Mufti Sahib about spiders. Apparently, that's the only reason why he doesn't come to Australia. But, it's not that bad. Like, there's usually a hospital within 15 minutes. You have these spiders usually don't kill you. Like, it takes about an hour. So you have you can even go to a kebab shop on the way. You'll still be fine. You know what I mean? So it's not that bad. There's a hospital always around the corner.
I love it. I love it. You gotta always have hospitals there because you never know, right? Yeah. Okay, fantastic. So since we got the spiders out of the way, um, what's going on with the show today? So we're gonna be first starting off with Moby's very, very, very respectful and amazing market update. This market update is something that we all look forward to. Honestly, I personally do too because I need to know what's going on with the crypto market. And while he's performing it, I'm listening and I'm learning. Next is Mufti Bilal. Inshallah, we'll be talking about a very, very well-demanded topic of an exchange being permissible or not. So we're going to be looking into that. After that, we're going to go into a featured gem, probably something that we will look into investing ourselves also. And then the Marhaba update. After that, we'll wrap it up. So, Moby, the floor is all yours.
Thank
What's the
you,
market
Mr.
update?
Ahmed. I love how you said I performed the market update. So I'm not sure how I'm supposed to do that. But, if you think it's performance, that's fine. Okay, let me just get my screen here. Okay, awesome, awesome. All right, so guys, last week I mentioned that, for an uptrend to begin, Bitcoin needed to move above 38,400, 38,500. So that's the level I was watching, right? And, alhamdulillah, we reached that. We're about 41,000, 41,500 as the time of recording. So, we're looking, quite good. Now, why did that happen? Well, it's a couple of reasons. And it's one of those things when it kind of rains, it pours, right? You'll see some of the news articles I'll share this week or the fundamentals, and, it's bullish all around. So this article here by Forbes talking about the fact that Bitcoin jumped about 8% in 24 hours. It was more like 10% in 24 hours. And we added about $100 billion in market cap from the major cryptos like Ethereum, Binance, Solana, Cardano, XRP as well. These guys are citing almost 500,000 jobs added in January. So the US job figures. So, whether we like it or not, I know it's kind of confusing sometimes to think about it this way, but it's always the American figures, it's always the American interest rates, the American inflation, but really that is still the core of the money system. It is the world's reserve currency, so anything in that economy is going to have a lot of impact on our economy. So when Facebook dropped 25% this week, when Amazon dropped a whole bunch, the crypto markets were paying attention to that. The other reason was, and this was a really, really good one, this was a good article that came out, a good piece of news that came out a couple of days ago, is that the IRS, the tax agency of America, will not tax unsold staked crypto as income. Really bullish stuff. So if you have, and this is not only good for the economy, but also for the other world economies to kind of take note and look at how America's doing it. The idea that you can stake crypto and not get taxed on it, that's great. That's really good news. You can leave your long-term ETH or whatever it is and not get staked on it. Bullish stuff. So this also came out at the exact same time. And what I actually want to sort of talk about, really quickly, like in terms of what we need to, I'm not going to talk about this too long. Actually, I'm more excited to talk about Ethereum this week. But in terms of Bitcoin, that 38,400 level obviously broke. And you can see here on my chart, the 21 moving average. Now, if you are a subscriber to this show, and if you're not, please subscribe. Hit the bell notification. It really helps us. I talk about the fact that when a coin breaks the 21-day moving average, and that's not the only thing. You look for confirmation points. You don't ever just look for one thing. It's quite bullish. It's a very strong show of strength. So obviously we did that, and now we are nudging at that $41,500 level. Now, if I move over to the weekly, you'll see that obviously we haven't broken weekly on that level right now, right? What we need to do, where we have this green candle, we need to break up and close above 41,000 500, 42,000 level, and that's really, really bullish. It's really strong support, and it shows the market, yep, okay, Bitcoin's actually moving into strength. It's not just a 3-4 day period. So that's that. Now, funnily enough, Ethereum actually led the charge, right? So even though, we talk about Bitcoin moving the market, and it certainly does, Ethereum actually broke out before Bitcoin did, which is really, really interesting. Now, when you look at the chart, and I know there's a lot happening, so I'll try to hide some of it if I can. If you look at the chart here, very, very similar. We broke above that 21-day moving average. And the other thing too, when you add coins on a watch list, so if you hear a good coin, right, there's like Ahmed mentioned, there's a huge low cap gem that's on our radar, one I haven't spoken about before. It's not Ethereum, Cardano, it's not a big $2 billion market cap, so potentially money to be made, not financial advice. Any coin it is, right, when you add it to the watch list, you'll notice that it will hover around a base, right? So if you see here, if I can draw on my chart here, for about a week, Ethereum just hovered around this base, 2200, 2100. It just kept hitting that base. As we've said before, the longer the base, the higher the projection into space. So that's honestly quite a bullish thing, and it's showing the strength of the market just waiting for that coin to flip. Now, if we kind of go back to the chart here, you can see the RSI is above that 50 point, very bullish. Like I said, we crossed the 21-day moving average. The other thing too that I want to draw your attention to, you can see this linear regression band, right? Let me just go back here. Now, this is an indicator on TradingView. You don't have to draw it yourself. It's just called the linear regression band. And what it does, it maps a coin within, a number, 1 or 2 standard deviation points. And you can see here that, we were in this lower band, we hit the higher band, then we went bearish, and then we went for about a week and a half or so, we were just below that band. So when we crossed back into that band, and we crossed above the 21-day moving average and above the 50 RSI, you can see 3 points of confluence there, 3 very strong indicators that show, hey, Ethereum is in a bullish state right now. Now, where are we moving to? So 3,300 is definitely in play right now, so in terms of a target, 3,300, and all the way to the top of this regression band, which is around 4,000, 4,100. So again, it's one of those things. Long term, it almost doesn't matter, right? Long term, just get in. But if you're looking to get in at a good entry point, it's not a bad time to get in. We can see a target around 4,100, 4,000 if things continue. We don't have any fundamental news that kind of shakes the markets. Now, one thing I will say, Ahmed, now this is really, really important to mention. I'll get off my screen for a second, is that Feb may be a really good month. But we still have interest rates coming up in March. We still have the US inflation statistics being released on February the 10th, right? So 3 to 4 days, from the time of this release. And at the same time, we have the Super Bowl on Feb the 13th, right? So we could have a very strong month in terms of crypto for the month of February if the inflation numbers are a little bit like a touch higher or the same. And, you have these bullish fundamentals like crypto.com, FTX, which one of those the Mufti is going to talk about. So stay tuned. It could be a really, really bullish month. But don't get your hopes up. Keep those fundamental rules in. Set your stop losses, your take profits, because it could be a bumpy ride until the end of the year. Your thoughts before I move on, Ahmed?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so look, the market is going to get more money flowing into it, and just in general the economy is going to have a lot of money flowing around it or within it, and due to that money, it's called a multiplier effect in economics. So that's going to bring a lot more into the crypto world also, and so from there, obviously when liquidity comes into the crypto world, it kind of funnels from Bitcoin and Ethereum down to the other tokens. So I'm looking forward to people spending more money in the upcoming month. And I think for the Super Bowl to happen, there's going to be a lot more leniency on the COVID rules, and due to that, that means in general more people are going to be traveling, spending, and there's going to be more of a positive outlook of the economy. And whenever there's a positive outlook of the economy, there's more investments being done. So this, I'm excited to see what happens in February, and then I'm also looking forward to March and April, because that's when the feelings of people are a lot more happier, relaxed. It's not as gloomy. It's not as tight because right now winter is supposed to be like a down vibe, if that's a word that I can use, a down vibe. But then in the months after, this, flowers are coming out. There's a positive vibe around, and so people spend more, go out more, do more things, and that I'm looking forward to the economy to see what happens there.
Yeah, it definitely will be interesting. It definitely will be interesting. So Feb may be a really good time to make money, but even though the months might be warming up, we're a little bit gun shy of March right now, just because of the interest rates, just because of other fundamentals right now. But like we said, it's going to be a choppy years. But make money when you can, take profits when you can. So yeah, and with the Super Bowl as well, they may not be, rumors are they may not be the only names that are going to be talking about crypto or advertising crypto this year. So look out for that. Now, speaking of Ethereum, right? So in this episode, actually, guys, I'm going to share really good, low mid cap gems for you, right? And one of them is Metis. Now, what is Metis? Metis is a layer 2 rollup platform. And it's a bit of a scaling solution similar to Matic or Polygon that allows you to leverage the network effects of Ethereum without the high gas fees, transaction costs, slow finality, that type of thing, right? Now, Metis is one that I've been watching. It's on my radar right now. I'll talk about price action in a moment. I was looking at this weeks ago, but it pumped to like hundreds of dollars. So I wanted to kind of steer clear, and I'm really glad I did because there might be a really good entry point. But if we first kind of look at the team, right? So you've got this woman here who's the CEO, Elena Sen. I'm not going to try to just call it Elena S, right? Russian woman. I'm not going to try to butcher her name. But this woman was involved in the Crypto Chicks, group. She was involved in Aave, Chainlink, and the commercial officer or the funding officer of the Metis team is actually Vitalik Butrin's mother. So the founder of Ethereum, his mother is in this project. Now, I was watching an interview with Elena, who's the CEO, and Altcoin Daily, which is a pretty good interview, actually. If you want to hear more about Metis, check that out. We'll link that in the show notes as well. And the question was, does Vitalik favor Metis, right? And I thought that was kind of funny. Now, obviously, that's his mother. There's like a vested interest there. Elena answered very, politically. But man, if your mother says, dude, you know what? You got to forget Polygon. If you don't focus on Metis, or if you don't give us some favor, then you're not coming for Christmas dinner. Then I don't know. All I'm saying is it's a good thing. It's a good thing there is there's that connection there. But honestly, this project doesn't need Vitalik Butrin's mother to be involved. It has very, very strong fundamentals. Now, the main thing that their whole value proposition is what they call a DAC, getting businesses into decentralized autonomous companies. So what does that mean? So the idea is, say you're a company, a traditional enterprise company, and you want to get onto the blockchain relatively easily. You could leverage Metis. So you could be, say, an airline company that sells flight tickets or whatever, and you don't want to invest in all of that technology, that security, and you want to leverage off the Ethereum network. You could sign up with Metis. Now, Metis only launched in November, and in 8 weeks, they had reached a total value locked of $500 million. They claim to be the fastest and the most decentralized network, and they're saying that's why we grew so fast. The other thing too, Ahmed, is they are EVM compatible. And on this show, we've been speaking about a lot of the projects that are cross-chain compatible, that allow for interoperability, like the Cosmos, like the AVAX. They're doing a lot better than the ones that aren't as interoperable, like, say a Cardano or a Solana. So that's the other thing they have going for it. A couple other things that are on the cards for these guys. It's not just a layer 2. It's not just a scaling solution. They also have something called a builder miner or builder mining. And what that is say, for example, you sign up to Metis, right? You're an airline company. You want to sell tickets. You will get 30% of the transaction fees back to you. So it helps you fund. So not only does it get you on the blockchain, when people are making transactions, you get 30% kickback, which is another a nice to have. They are also developing a decentralized storage I guess, system or solution, which allows you to store data on chain for cheaply. So just as a reference point, Ahmed, if you want to store a 1 megabyte JPEG, like a 1 megabyte JPEG on the Ethereum blockchain, it would cost you $1 million, right? $1 million. Where using Metis, what they're developing, it's just going to cost you cents. So in terms of what it is, why I like Metis, right now, if I can see, let me go to some pricing charts. I mean, this is how new it is, guys. This is how like low cap it is. It doesn't even have, what do you call it? A trading view chart right now. I have to use the CoinGecko charts that we have. So if I look at this right now, we went to a high of 315 US dollars. Right now we're sitting at about $141. So you're essentially getting this at a 50% discount, even more than 50% discount. It's not a low cap. I'd call it a mid cap. It's ranked 214, market cap of $304 million, which is actually pretty low cap when you think about the money in Ethereum, the amount of businesses that are trying to get onto Ethereum. It is an optimistic rollup. It's not a side chain. Now, why do you care about that? With side chains, you have a higher possibility of losing your funds because your funds are kind of in a limbo. Whereas with an optimistic rollup, you can still have a 51% attack. It can still be hacked, but there isn't a risk of losing your funds. So I just wanted to mention that. That's actually not the only, that's the first gem we'll be sharing with you. This is one I'm sharing in the market update, just because, Metis has done so well. It's gone up 10%, has a strong correlation with Ethereum. And it could be one of those beta plays, right? You want to leverage off a coin that's correlated with another high cap, but you don't want to wait for, only like a 1x or 2x. You want more than that. So Metis would be my vote, and it's a coin that I'm looking into, not financial advice. Moving on, I want to move to Tezos now, right? So Ubisoft, specifically around Ubisoft. So Ubisoft, we spoke about them last month, actually. They were trying to get into, Ubisoft obviously is a gaming developer, a tier 1, gaming developer that's outside of the crypto world. And they wanted to get into NFTs and integrate, I guess, blockchain. And they had a lot of pushback. And I mentioned this on one of our episodes. They had a lot of pushback from their audience because they're like, oh, environmentally sustainable. And the other thing too, gamers are worried about is they don't want their gaming items. So say you get a gun or a sword that's an NFT. They don't want that just to be, subject to speculation. Like, they just want to pay what it's worth. They don't want that just to pump and dump based on what NFT traders are playing with. But anyway, Ubisoft hasn't backed away from that. If anything, now they're moving on to the sorry, I mentioned Tezos. I meant to talk about Tezos and HBAR, actually. I know that's one on your radar, Ahmed. That's one you're a fan of. But they've now partnered with the Hedra network, or HBAR Foundation, which is bullish for Ubisoft. It's also bullish for Tezos, which Ubisoft already has a partnership with, and it's bullish for HBAR. Now, just in regards to the Tezos side of things, they are, and again, keep in mind that Ubisoft is a game publisher with a $7 billion market cap that has a lot of exposure that hasn't transferred onto the crypto side of things. On December 7th, actually, so the partnership with Tezos happened in December. They launched a new platform called Ubisoft Quartz. Now, this platform is powered by the Tezos networks, and it allows for the purchase and sales and tokens of NFTs that are playable through the game Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Now, I've never played that game before, but I know that game. I know it's a tier 1 game, and it's very bullish to leverage the world of gaming onto the world of NFTs. So again, bullish for Tezos, HBAR, and Ubisoft investors as well. Now, just in terms of, I'm not talking about HBAR price points, but just to talk about Tezos really quickly, you can see here that it's risen 50% from its local bottom of $2.54 in January 24th. So that's about 12 days ago, whatever it is. We've risen 50% since that, but we still haven't hit all-time high yet. Now, the other thing too I want to draw to your attention is these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these bottoms. So since 2018, we've completed our 5th lower high, so lower higher lower high rather, since 2018. And that's really, really bullish. It shows that Tezos is in an upward trend. And the next sort of, I guess, thing to look out for would be crossing the 200-day moving average, which is around $5 right now. So we're at about $3.70 or so. $5 is another target, and that's another marker that bulls and traders will be looking towards. Now, not financial advice. I'm actually not invested in Tezos, but it's just something that came on my radar because of this Ubisoft partnership. The other thing I want to talk about, and I don't necessarily have a chart for this one or a screen share, is Fidelity, right? So just in this same week, in this exact same week where we had a whole bunch of bullish news, Fidelity released a report on Bitcoin first, why investors need to consider Bitcoin separately from digital assets. And quote, and I'll read this out, Bitcoin is fundamentally different from other digital assets. No other digital asset is likely to improve upon Bitcoin as a monetary good because Bitcoin is the most decentralized, secure, sound digital money, and any improvement will necessarily face trade-offs. So they're acknowledging that Bitcoin isn't a layer one. It's not a DeFi play. It is just supposed to be a source of value, a storage of value. And if you try to do anything else on it, it takes away from what it's designed to do, being sound money. Now, why is this important? Well, Fidelity is one of the world's largest financial services companies in the world. And they have people that pay them to tell them what to do with their billions and billions of dollars worth of investment. Now, if you're a listener to this show, that's not new to you. That's not news. That's not new news. It is just a confirmation and a continuation that these big companies, these institutions are looking to Bitcoin. Like they're allocating at this point here, if you're a hedge manager or a fund manager and you don't have 1 to 2% allocated in Bitcoin, like you almost have to, like you almost don't have a job if you do that, and we're talking about small percentage points, which for us, because we're so early, is still really, really bullish. Another thing, moving on to some, I guess, macro global news is America completes Act passes House without disastrous provision on crypto. This was released just 22 hours ago. Now, what this is actually talking about, they have a, what do they call it? An act that they initially were going to put in provisions that were disastrous towards crypto. Now, upon inspection, it's actually passed without that. So that's really bullish. It shows you that, I guess, their senators, their lawmakers are taking, they're focusing on crypto. They're noticing crypto. You have senators like Ted Cruz who have publicly shared in the last week. I think he's bought about $15,000 or $30,000 worth of Bitcoin. This is good. This is strong. This is bullish for crypto. So even though we have Biden who's trying to release, a special crypto team, even though they're trying to they're trying to own stable coins like USDC, USDT. They're trying to get ownership of the stable coins back into the banks. I know that's annoying. I know that's not the best thing, but at least it shows legitimacy. At least it shows long term, you're in the right place. Now, moving off from the US to India, right? India embraces Bitcoin, crypto, but there's a catch. So India has legalized Bitcoin and crypto again after, potentially banning it, but they're imposing a 30% tax from cryptocurrencies. This is a good thing. This is bullish. This says, hey, you know what? We are willing to play ball. If you can't beat them, join them. Indian residents, fine. Invest in crypto, but we're going to take a 30% cut. Really bullish stuff. On the other side of the pond, in our friends in Indonesia, our brothers in Indonesia, an article here that Indonesia's trading regulator approves trading Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano, but not in a bunch of other coins. So they have approved 200 cryptos. But this is quite interesting because I'm like, wait, didn't we just have some news where the Sharia board in Indonesia said Bitcoin was haram and crypto was haram? Like, what's the go? Have they reverted? Well, not necessarily. Just like any country, you have like a monetary, department. You got finance. In Indonesia, you have a Islamic, department, if you want to call it that. They don't necessarily all agree. So this came after Indonesia's Financial Services Authority prohibited financial institutions from participating in crypto, and the Sharia board advised that it should be banned. So this is bullish. The world's biggest Muslim country actually, this is great for Marhaba as well, right? As an Islamic project, you have the ulamas coming out saying it's banned, but then you have a different voice, you have a different opinion in that country saying that, you know what, we actually think these coins are okay, those coins are not. It gives you differing opinions, and it's bullish for the world of crypto nonetheless. Now, the last thing I want to share is, I guess, just a tale of caution, right? Just to be mindful of celebrity influencers. So this tweet I'm sharing, Ahmed, is a tweet where this guy, ZachXBT.eth, a known influencer in the crypto world, he shares this tweet, or he shares this screenshot from Snoop Dogg, and he says, "Nice ad, Snoop. I think it's safe to say anyone who bought this pump and dump, got burnt," right? Now, when I look at the tweet itself, you can see here Snoop Dogg had put out this Instagram tweet of, baby ETH, right? He was promoting baby ETH. And this thing literally pumped and dumped. It lost like 99, 100% of its value. So I guess the tale of caution there, Ahmed, is being mindful of influencers, right? Being mindful of influencers. It doesn't matter who they are. Now, you might say, well, you know what? I don't care about Snoop Dogg because I'm a very good Muslim and I don't listen to music. Okay, awesome, right? But even, and this is like, just so you guys know, like even someone like Habib, right? So if I go back to my screen, he had this cute post, right? It was actually kind of cute, like where he talks about, I'm Habib and now I'm in the metaverse. Now, I love Habib, and I was talking to you about this before the show. I'm an MMA fan, so I was a fan of Habib before he became a Muslim influencer, right? Before people were watching him and uncles and aunties were talking about him, right? Love Habib. He's my favorite fighter of all time. But I'm not going to necessarily take advice from Habib about the metaverse. Do you know what I mean? And that's nothing to do with his credibility. He's obviously got financial advisors. He's obviously got people who, he respects. And obviously the thing that he's talking about isn't necessarily a bad thing. That's not what I'm saying. This metaverse play, chances are it's a very good thing. But don't look at his expertise as a validation of whether that is good or not. Still do your financial advice. It should be like when, and you guys have, you guys tweet, you guys comment, you guys have mentioned, a bunch of you guys have mentioned you've taken what I've said as advice, research, invested in stuff and made money, which I'm very, very happy to hear. Same thing, you hear about this stuff, you don't just follow blindly, right? Invest, have a look, do your research, that type of thing. So the reason why I mentioned Habib is because I love Habib. Even someone like him talking about something he's not a subject matter expert in, I'm not just going to listen, right? So your thoughts, Ahmed. That's the end of the market update, but your thoughts on everything I've said, particularly the Habib stuff.
Yeah, no, there's going to be always influencers. They're going to always talk about products. And it's look at what they're saying and just always do your own research. I mean, there's going to, look, because you also got to look at this. The projects that are going to be in line with some influencers who has that much like power, those projects are going to be projects that are funded, and they're funded because most likely because they have people backing them up, a good quality people backing them up. So, but still, as always, do your own research. In everything in life, man, in everything in life, I have a philosophy. You are responsible for everything that happens to you. Everything that comes around you, everything that happens to you, you are 110% responsible for it. So be cautious of what you're getting yourself involved with everything around. So that's my quick 2 cents. I think, I think the next part is bringing on Mufti Bilal, respect to Mufti Bilal, and to talk about an exchange. Moby, what is this exchange? Give us a quick update of who they are, but then Mufti Bilal will talk about the permissibility.
Yeah, so Mufti, you can hear us?
Yes, I can.
Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam. Well, good to have you, Mufti. So, of course, we are going to be talking about a very, very popular exchange called FTX. I briefly mentioned them in the market update. They're one of the brands that are throwing millions and millions of dollars into, they're sponsoring a stadium right now. They're going to have a Super Bowl ad. They're throwing money at celebrities, just everywhere, right? So it's a very popular exchange. They also have a token called FTT. They're involved in many different layers of crypto. So I guess that's kind of the context. Mufti, what has your analysis shown? What has your research shown? What's your view on FTX, the exchange?
Yeah, as you have mentioned, FTX is getting quite big at the moment. It is considered as to be, the third biggest exchange at the moment behind Binance and Coinbase. To give you an idea of how big FTX is, at the moment this week, FTX was valued at $32 billion, and in 2020 it was worth $1.2 billion. So this is how
Wow.
much between nearly 2 years, how much growth it has get. And to give you even a better idea of how big FTX exchange is, as I said, is worth currently 32 billion, but that's even bigger than certain financial institution. I mean, traditional financial institution like Germany's Dutch bank, which is worth 25 billion American
Wow.
dollars, and this one is even bigger. So this is completely crazy. I mean, daily volume of trade on the platform is roughly around $14 billion a day. Now, FTX is an exchange and is mainly specializing itself in derivative trading. Okay, although there is a form of spot exchange, spot trading that's happening as well, roughly involving 100 cryptocurrencies, but mainly they're targeting derivative trading. Now, what are they? I mean, we can look at them from three or four categories. You have the options. Now, option trading, what are they exactly? Well, option basically gives you the right but not the obligation to sell or buy an asset at a future date. So, like for example, if I feel that the price of, as an example, this is not taken from the website, I'm just to give people an idea of what I'm talking about. If I believe the price of Bitcoin is uh, going to go down, for example, and is going to go to, I don't know, let's say $30,000 in 1 month's time. Now, I am entering into a contract today with someone else with the agreement that in 1 month's time, I am going to sell a Bitcoin for $40,000. Now, I am speculating that in that 1 month's time, the price of Bitcoin is not going to be worth 40,000, it's going to be worth 30,000. But I am entering into a contract now. Now, it gives me the right to execute that contract, but not the obligation. What that means is, if, for example, in 1 month's time, my guess is correct, and the price of the price of Bitcoin goes down, it goes to 30,000, then I would be able to sell my Bitcoin for 40,000 and basically make a profit of 10,000, right? That's what an option contract is. But if in another scenario, my guess was wrong, and that in 1 month's time, the price of Bitcoin is gone up to $50,000. Now, me, I have already entered into a contract for 40,000, but it only gave me the right, not the obligation. It means that in 1 month's time, if the price of Bitcoin goes up, instead of me selling for my Bitcoin for 40,000 when it's worth 50,000 and make a loss of 10,000, I will say, no, sorry, I don't want to sell my Bitcoin anymore. That's what option contract is. It gives you the right, not the obligation, to basically finalize the contract. And
Buy
these,
or
from an
sell.
Islamic perspective, these contract they're not Sharia compliant, because when you are entering into a contract, we need to know, first of all, an exchange must, obviously it depends on what is it that you're trading. Like, are you trading currencies? If currency are being exchanged, then you need to do the exchange on the spot, etc. But at the same time, we need to know exactly what is the price that you're going to sell the asset. At the moment, there's too much ambiguity. It's betting, basically. We don't know what is it that you're going to do. Are you going to sell? Are you not going to sell? So there's too much ambiguity around the contract, and therefore these sort of traditional options, they're seen as share compliant. Then they are also involved in future contract.
Mufti,
FTX.
sorry, just really quickly, just before you go on to the futures, the options themselves, the right, not the obligation to buy at a future price, you're saying that is halal or not halal? Like, what if you know
It's not halal.
this, right? If it's Ethereum, Bitcoin, and why is that specifically? Because you're not using leverage. You're not actually. Is it because of market manipulation? What's the reason behind that?
There is an uncertainty. There is uncertainty. Don't forget, the option contract is a contract in itself, right? Although it doesn't give you the obligation, but it is a contract in itself, and you have to actually pay usually a fee for that. Okay, you have to pay for the fee to enter that contract. It is not a promise. It is not a promise. Meaning what? Meaning that if, for example, I say to you, Moby, that I am going to I'm going to sell you my Bitcoin for $40,000 in 1 month's time. Now, when it comes to 1 month, you agreed to that contract because you thought, I thought that the price of Bitcoin is going to go down, is going to go below 40. So I will be able to sell it to you for 40. So I'll make a profit. And you agreed to sell it to me for 40 because you thought that the price of Bitcoin is going to be at 50,
Mm.
right? But then in 1 month's time, you will be able to buy that Bitcoin for 40. So again, you save yourself 10,000. Now, this is why you would do it, right? This is why you would agree to that. Now, the problem is, the issue is that if, for example, in 1 month's time, the price of Bitcoin has gone down to 30,000, yeah, and I said, well, you're gonna have to buy it off me for 40,000. Now, what will happen is if you don't agree to sell it to me, then basically you're getting in trouble. You're in breach of the contract, right? You're in breach of the contract because that was a contract. That was not a promise that, a lie promise that you made. Oh yeah, I will sell it to you, and then you can come back to your word. No, that wasn't that. That was an actual contract we had entered. And in the option, you either have the right to sell or either have the right to buy. The person who's got that right is actually paying a fee to gain that right. Okay. So if he does not want to execute the contract by the end of it, the only thing that he would have lost is the actual fee that he would have paid to enter to purchase the right. The fee he paid for that right. That's the only thing he would have paid, whether it's $100 or whatever. That's the only amount that he would have lost. Now, this contract is got a lot of uncertainty around it because we don't know. Are you going to sell? Are you not going to sell? What price is it you're going to really? Obviously the price is fixed in this scenario. We know you're going to sell it then, but because there is an uncertainty whether that this contract is going to take ahead or not. And as I also said, that sometimes when you enter into a contract, depending on what is it that you're selling, the exchange must be taking place on the spot. So if you cannot, for example, enter into a future contract of currencies, for example, because if you're exchanging currencies, that must be done on the spot. It cannot be done in the future. So you cannot enter into a contract to buy and sell or sell, currency at a later date. For that reason, traditional option contract, they're usually seen as non-Sharia compliant. The same thing can be said about future. Future as well, they're pretty much more or less the same. But instead of having the right to buy or sell, is that you are actually entering into a contract to buy and sell something, but at a future date. So you're either entering into a contract to buy Bitcoin at a certain price in the future, or to sell Bitcoin at at a future date. But again, these sort of future contracts, they're usually seen as non-Sharia compliant. So this is another another activity that's happening on the FTX platform. Now, in relation to future, they have another type of future contract that is called move contracts, and this is very similar to a future contract, but the price is based according to the value. How can I explain that? It's according to the price that asset is going to move over a certain period of time. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're buying or you're selling Bitcoin, for example. You're selling Bitcoin for $10,000.
Mm.
Okay, and you're selling it. No, actually, is it when you're buying or selling? So basically, uh, you if you're entering into a contract over a 24-hour period, if the price of the Bitcoin is going up by $200, yeah, by the end of that day, by the end of that 24 hours, if the price of Bitcoin was $200 plus, then you would basically be making $200 profit. You would be making $200 profit, irrespective of the actual price of the Bitcoin by the end of the day. So because during that 24-hour period, the price of Bitcoin have moved up by $200, so basically you made a profit. If the price of Bitcoin was gone down, yeah, it doesn't matter because you have actually entered into such a contract based on the price that is going to, based on the value that is going to hover over that period of time. Whether it can be 24-hour period, or it can be a weekly period, quarterly period, etc. It depends. They have different option on there. So these sort of future contract, they have a lot of how can I say? They have a lot of uncertainty around it. It's basically like betting. For that reason, they cannot be seen as Sharia compliant. To do these sort of contract as well, to do these sort of future contract, they also offer you leverage. So basically, you can actually borrow to open your position. So, like for example, they might give you, let's say you open your position with $10,000, but you can have 3 times that amount. So they will give you $30,000. Now you will do, your transaction or whatever, and then they'll pay you back, whatever your capital amount, and you repay, the what do you call it, the money that you have borrowed. But the money they have lent to you, there is an actual interest charge on it, and usually there is not. It is not listed as interest, but it is listed in terms of a fee, a creation fee. That this creation fee for the leverage is actually interest. From a Sharia perspective, we will see that as interest. You understand? Because I mean, it's not, the fee is not related to anything, to anything really. It's just the fact that you created that debt, and they call it creation fee. That, from a Sharia perspective, is just interest. So that as well is non Sharia compliant. So these are the sort of activities that FTX platform offer, which, as I mentioned, they're non-Sharia compliant. Maybe potentially the spot exchange might be Sharia compliant if somebody uses it in a Sharia compliant manner, i.e., they are actually trading halal tokens on it. But can you actually use the platform itself to do that? Can you actually use FTX platform itself to do that? I'm not sure. I don't think you can do it. Because most likely for you to do that, you would probably need to have the FTT token to interact on the platform. Now let's talk about FTT token. The FTT token is basically the what do you call it? The native token of the FTX platform. Now it has got certain utilities. It might give you discount fees on on your trading, or you might use the FTT token as collateral, for example, if you want to borrow, or you can also stake your FTT token. Now the FTT token itself, can you actually buy and sell these tokens? At the moment, MRHB Defi is in the process of screening FTT token, so eventually we will release a banner in this regard. But my personal opinion at this stage is that I don't think it is permissible. I have mentioned it before. If a platform is heavily engaged in haram activities, then you should just stay away from it. Okay. Now, FTT token itself, where does it actually get his value? Yeah, the 33% of its value supposedly is deriving from the trading fees. So all these trading fees that gets accumulated through haram activities, what happens is people pay the fees in the FTT token, and then what happens is the platform uses a process of buyback. So you buy back the token and burns it. Yeah. So 33% of the fee collected is basically helps in towards the value of the FTT token itself, which is directly from haram transaction. So, you know, I have said before, when a platform is heavily engaged in haram activities, it's better to stay away from it. Although there might be a way to use it in halal manner, but do you actually need to go on there to use it? I mean, there are many exchanges, right? There are many exchanges that are available where you can trade in a completely Sharia compliant manner, and where the exchange is not heavily active in in haram activities. So better is it not better to use this sort of exchange rather than go towards something that is more or less haram? uh, this is a question. This is a big question, because people might say, like we use Binance exchange, for example. Binance as well offer a lot of these haram activities, options, futures, leverages and stuff like that. So I think it is it is a very big question. Like the fact
Mm.
that the platform has got haram activities, uh, does it mean that you cannot actually use the halal part? This is a very, 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 very big question, and I think that needs a deeper research on that.
It's, I guess the key
Uh,
thing is it's not apples and apples, is it, Mufti? Like it's, you can't just say, oh, okay, if that one is questionable, then that one is questionable. Like you said, you guys are already doing a review. You guys are already looking into it, and you've touched on the complexity. But and I'm not endorsing either way, but with Binance, it's a launch pad as well. There's a DEX, right? There's Pancake Swap. There's, it's actually got other utility where FTT, it seems to derive a significant, considerably higher value from leverage, options, the move stuff that I didn't even know you could do that. You could actually bet on the move, not just on a price. You could actually bet on the move, the range it goes up
yeah,
and down. Like, it's
yeah.
crazy. So, like, it's
You can actually bet
obviously,
on other things as well. Yeah.
right.
You can
It's
actually bet on
obviously,
other things
yeah.
as well.
And they have
But
derivatives, I
yeah,
think, as well. There's
yeah,
just
yeah,
so much. Like, it just doesn't. Obviously, Sharia finance and compliance is not based on feel, but it just doesn't feel right. Like, it's very, very different to. And I'm not saying either or, but it's very different to a Binance, very different to another layer one. This is not a
yeah, yeah,
blockchain.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think I think from for a compliance perspective, because this field is new, we need parameters. So, like for example, when it came to stock exchange, for example, buying shares in company that is involved in certain haram activities, we have certain parameters, like in terms of their revenues. The total revenues should not derive, more than 5% profit, from the, what do you call it, from haram activities, or uh, the debts, they should not be, involved in interest-based borrowing for more than 33%, of the total market value, etc. You have these sort of parameters that is applied, to stock exchange and buying shares. And I think, when it comes to what do you call it, to these things, to trading on platforms, crypto platform that is heavily involved in haram activities, but there might be a portion of the activity that is actually halal. Can you use that? Can you go on that and interact in that ecosystem and acquire that token, right? If If it's permissible, if it's not permissible, it's not permissible. If it's permissible, it's permissible. But if it's like, okay, maybe, but then maybe based on certain parameters, then we need to fix these parameters. We need to say, okay, if we know that the value of that token is deriving its value from, I don't know, 50% of the haram activities or 60% of the haram activities that's taking place on the platform, then we need to determine this. Okay, we need to know these sort of parameters. Otherwise, what I personally believe, it's my personal opinion, is that do not look at these platforms like you would look at traditional financial institution. Do not think, oh, but this is just like a bank. This is just like we are interacting with a bank. No. Crypto is a different world. It is a different world. And the potential on crypto is much, much more different than traditional finance. On crypto, you can actually, how can I say that? You can actually create your own Shura compliant ecosystem. That is the beauty of the blockchain technology. On DeFi, you can actually, and that's what MRHB is doing, right? With traditional finance, you just can't. You have no option. You can't just decide, to set up a bank, and you can't, because there's a lot of regulation involved. There's this and that. You cannot even imagine creating your own Shura compliant bubble in traditional finance. It's not possible. In DeFi, you can actually do that, and therefore it is for the Muslims to do it. It is for the Muslim to actually try. They need to invest themselves and build this sort of Shura compliant ecosystem where they can interact within it, and that's it. They should not have the need to look at it elsewhere. You understand? So this is why it's very difficult. This is why my personal belief is that if we allow people and we keep telling people, yeah, don't worry, buy this. Yeah, it's a little haram there, but it's fine. You can use the halal bar. In the end, we're just going to end up like we are, as if we are interacting with the normal traditional financial institution out there. And we will say, oh, but we got no choice. Like we are saying right now, but we got no choice because banks like that, because they're involved in trust, this, that, blah. Shares is the same thing. Yeah, shares, we are making excuses to use these parameters. Reality is, ever since these parameters they have been put in place, I don't know how many years ago, since the 80s probably, since they've put parameters. Yeah, today is 2022, and we can't. Like you look at the majority of the platforms that offer the possibility to buy shares, they are still using these sort of parameters, meaning that we don't even have a proper ecosystem where we can actually buy stock, we can buy shares in companies that are 100% halal, that are 100% dealing in halal activity. We can't even do that. We don't even have that. So the question is, do we want to be like that as well in crypto, in DeFi? Do we want to end up like that with all these parameters of tolerance, to close the eyes because we say we got no choice and that's it? Or do we want to create something better? If DeFi is meant to be people who are moving away from traditional finance and they want to move away from regulation and they want to create this so-called utopian world, then the same thing, Muslims should have the same, desire, to create their own, financial share compliant bubble as well. And they need to work towards that rather than looking at the excuses to buy anything and everything. Do you know what I mean? So this is why I feel that although, just to close on FTX, although it might have an exchange where you can actually trade tokens in a share compliant manner, it does not mean that I will encourage somebody to do that. If you want to do that, go on a share compliant platform. If there are not any nowadays, you can create a startup, create your team, create your own platform. If you don't want to trade on MRHB, then create your own platform. But create it. move. You know, it is
Oh my
possible.
God.
It is.
Mufti Blah, you're talking about a topic which can require a whole. You talked about three huge topics, uh, one crypto focus, two other topics. Man, this is something that I think we could do an entire podcast specifically about the concept of taking action, doing something. Two, looking at the old regulatory things that are in place from the IOFI regulations when it comes to stocks and stuff, and how we've never moved on from them and all that stuff. I mean, you hit the strings in my heart. Two of them very deep. I think we should do a full podcast on those 2 points. But aside from crypto. But yes, you're right. You're right. Exactly what you said.
So yeah, so inshallah, you know, once we have a proper, what do you call it, a proper conclusion of the FTT token, then inshallah, Marhaba will release the banner. But yeah, otherwise the activities, as I mentioned, the derivatives, the futures, etc., is a completely no-go area. So just stay away from it.
Makes sense. Doesn't feel right.
Fantastic. Okay, I think that answers the question in detail, and we will swiftly move on to the next topic, which was the gem. Moby, what's this gem that you found?
The Mufti's just jumped off, so you know, Assalamu alaikum Mufti, thank you so much for your time. Before I get onto the gem, there's one thing that I actually forgot to sort of share, and I think when I saw this article, I thought, you know what, I feel like I have an obligation to share this with people. For those of you who don't know, really quickly, there was a new malware that's targeting MetaMask specifically. So I'm sharing on my screen here. Hodlers beware, new malware targets MetaMask and 40 other crypto wallets. Users have been warned against the new malware designed to steal crypto from browser extensions such as MetaMask and Coinbase. Now, this is a pretty serious thing. This is a big deal because most of us, you know, once you upgrade from, you know, stage zero of, you know, baby investor, you know, your next step is MetaMask, and we all have MetaMask, right? So
Or
this
Trust Wallet.
or Trust Wallet.
MetaMask or Trust, yeah.
Yeah, so this exploit specifically targets browser-based wallets like MetaMask, Binance Chain, a Coinbase wallet as well. And essentially what it does, and this thing, it's only $140. So for a hacker to buy this, like, they have their own marketplace, they have their own app store. It's a very low cost of entry. And this is kind of this I found interesting. I have to share this with you, Ahmed. What it actually does, if it matches the ID language of Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, Belarus, or Russia, the software leaves your system without any malicious action. So if you're from any other language or country that's not Kazakhstan, Uzbeki, Azerbaijan, Belarus, or Russia, it will attack you. But if you are from those countries, it will leave you alone. How nice, huh?
So
How nice for our Russian brothers.
I think we know now where this may be.
I think we know who created this. So like, I don't know, you know, like, I could be wrong here, but it's probably China. Now, like, it's interesting, right? It's interesting. It's funny. It's really funny. But I thought I'd just use this as a reminder. This was a good reminder to myself because I'm, you know, in tech. I'm in digital marketing. I'm pretty savvy to this stuff. But I use MetaMask as well. And I'm like, wow, like, this is pretty serious. So you'll seldom find a crypto trader who hasn't lost money, who hasn't fallen into a pump and dump, who hasn't been hacked. But a lot of people have a lot of their coins in MetaMask, right? So I guess one tip would be, look, if you're hodling, if it's long term, and Ahmed, you did a video on this on our channel, and I think on your channel as well, you know, putting it in a cold wallet, it's always going to be the safest, a cold offline wallet. That's not always possible. One thing that, if you read between the lines, this article talks about is it targets web forums. It targets like websites that, you know, downloads, you know, for like, it kind of like those dubious links or download sites. That's what it's saying. So if you think of like those, you know, free websites, free streaming, illegal streaming sites, pornography, anything like that, like, you know, look, I'm not telling you not to stream illegal. You do whatever you want, right, in your own life. But maybe the one that you have, your computer that you have your MetaMask, just keep everything clean on that. Just like, that's the best advice I can give you. Just keep everything clean. Even then, you still might get hacked, but hopefully, inshallah, you won't be. Funnily enough, when I got my work computer, I used to stream movies back in the day in MP3s and whatever. But with the work one I stopped, I just felt like, because I have a lot of sensitive information, client information. So for me, it was just like a common sense thing. So I'd say like the computer that you're using, don't use that for your streaming and like illegal streaming or anything that's questionable. Or, I'm not here to talk about whether streaming is halal or haram. Oh, but it's made by Hollywood and they're corrupt. Okay, fine, whatever, brother. Like, you can believe whatever you want, right? Don't care. The point I'm saying is protect your funds. Don't do that stuff on the machine and the browser. Forget browser. The machine where you have your crypto. For the love of God, just to protect yourself.
Yeah, so that's why this is me getting like, there's layers of understanding crypto, and so I'm not trying to throw people away, but you know what I've done is I have a dead computer, which means it only gets turned on if I either need to go do some editing, or B, if I need to do crypto. And usually it doesn't require a lot of Wi-Fi. It only requires Wi-Fi if I need to do specific trades or something, and that's for long-term holding, and that's what connects also to my hard wallet. Because you need to connect your hard wallet to some system. You can connect your hard wallet to your phone, or to your
connect it to something. So,
yeah. So, and that computer only turns on if I need something specific to it, and that's because I'm not rich yet, and inshallah at some point I will be. But you have to get into the habit of understanding how these things work beforehand, because a hard wallet, it sounds very nice. I have a hard wallet, but to understand how they work, it's a little bit more than just 3 steps. With Trust Wallet and MetaMask, it's only 3 steps. But with hard wallets, it takes maybe like 10 steps, 12 steps. You have to watch a few introductory videos. Then you start using it. Then you start sending money here and there, and then you start realizing how it works. So, I would really recommend that you look into, if you're gonna hodl for a long time for specific tokens. Yes. Look for a hard wallet. Just make your life a little bit easier.
Yeah. So I hope you didn't mind that slight digress, Ahmed, but I remember seeing this, and I forgot to mention it in the update, and I thought, you know what, this is very important. Like, if we want you guys to be safe, not lose your crypto, we hear terrible stories all the time, so I thought I'd share that. But
don't
okay,
tell
cool.
anybody your phrase. Don't tell anybody your key phrase. Even if she loves me, I love it. No, don't tell anybody.
Look, what you should do though is direct message me your secret phrase, and I'll tell you whether you need to change it or not.
What to do with it?
Yeah, just send it to me. Don't worry, trust me. I'll take. Of course, don't do that. Don't send it to anyone. Don't send it to anyone.
It's find our email go to about, find the email that's linked to this channel. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, but honestly, Ahmed, though, like, it raises, like, just really, like, man, I noticed the other day, I've got an iPhone, and I don't know how long this has been around for, but I take screenshots of stuff all the time. When I'm out and about to prepare for the show, I'll take screenshots of articles and stuff. And one thing I noticed, I was trying to zoom in on an image once, and I noticed in the Photos app, I could actually select the text. Like, I'm like, ooh, that's new. Like, it must be a smart thing that, iPhone has done. We can actually select the text and copy it. And for some time, this is not new. This has been around for years and years and years. The AI in the phone app, in the smartphone apps, in the photo apps, it will like segment photos. So like, for example, if you search for cars, all your car photos. If you search like selfie, if you search for anything, computer, chair, it does that. Even like whiteboard, I take photos of whiteboards all the time. It does that. So these things are very smart. These things can be hacked. So why do I say that? I've taken photos of myself in the past of my seed phrases as well. But if the iPhone can select text, that means someone can exploit that as well. So be very careful with that. I have to go back myself, check where have I kept my seed phrases. Is it only on a piece of paper? Is it only here and there? But you just want to be safe, So
yeah, just keep it in your underwear and never take.
You could do that.
I'm joking.
You could do that.
I'm joking.
Just don't get any skid marks that will make it hard for you to read your seed phrase.
Okay.
possibly not a Sharia compliant joke. But anyway, okay, cool. So I'm going to now. Let me just. Ooh, that's not the screen I wanted. Yeah, I'm sharing my screen now, and I want to talk about a small cap gem called Octopus Network. Now, I remember, I think it might have been Mustafa Hagazi. Mustafa, if you're listening, shout out to you. You might have. I think it was like 3-4 weeks ago, I saw a comment by him saying, "Oh, look, you know what? Really love the advice and really love everything you guys share. But a lot of these coins, they're already big, right? They're already pumped. They're already really big coins. Like what about some sort of upcoming stuff?" And I listened and I heard, but I remember the week after Bitcoin crashed. So I haven't purposely been talking about a lot of smaller cap stuff because that is not the right time. Like when you have a crash, when you have like 3-4 weeks of uncertainty that we did, the best thing you should do is revisit your stop losses, take profits, get rid out of bad entries. I got rid of some coins that were just very, very small cap, render, whatever, and focus on the big profitable layer 1, layer 0s, right? My advice, that's my opinion myself, not financial advice. So specifically, there's a time and place to look at this stuff. But anyway, let's look at Octopus Network. Now, what is Octopus Network? So I'm sharing my screen here, Ahmed. And I'm just sort of just covering what it is actually. So Octopus is a decentralized protocol or platform that allows developers to build and launch application-specific blockchains. They're called app chains, and transfer value trustlessly amongst multiple blockchains. Cool, awesome. So what it can allow you to do is build a specific chain for a particular app, right? Called an app chain. And what it will let you do is leverage off NEAR protocol. Now, we've spoken about NEAR before. I'm a holder of NEAR. I'm a big fan of NEAR. It's got almost $1 billion worth of investment from their fund. So it's very, very, and it's one of those tokens that really honestly didn't drop that much, and it pumped quite well recently. But anyway, what it allows, Octopus allows you to do is leverage the out-of-box security, interoperability, and on-chain governance and infrastructure of NEAR, right? So rather than trying to create your own app chain, leverage off something else, leverage off a NEAR that already has that. Now, if this sounds familiar, like something else, it is, and you're not wrong there. It's very similar to Polkadot. So with Polkadot, you have to do these parachain auctions. Now, the difference with Polkadot is, you leverage off Polkadot security and interoperability, but it's very expensive. It can cost millions of dollars to actually win a parachain slot. And then there's no guarantee, like that you'll even win that. So you have to take all this investment out. So it's like that. It has fast finality. It is secure. It is usable, but without that big barrier to entry. For that reason, because there are things like Octopus out there and Cosmos and Atom, I don't think that Polkadot is bad per se. I still think it's a very, very strong chain. But as a side note, maybe that's why it hasn't taken off yet. I still think Polkadot's got its best days ahead of it, but maybe that's why it hasn't taken off, because there are other alternatives out there. Now, in terms of tokenomics, it is very common to a lot of other coins: staking, voting, governance as well. That's a unit of value that's native to the Octopus network. And it represents a medium exchange between users and developers who pay the network, and validators who take fees as payment for services they provide. So not too dissimilar from a lot of other networks out there, but there is a strong staking component as well. Now, the backers, in terms of the backers, you've got NEAR. So that comes out of the $800 million fund that we spoke about not too long ago in one of our episodes. Not all the 800 million, but a component of that. You have got, what else is interesting here? You've got NGC Ventures, UB Capital, Continue Capital, a whole bunch of other, I guess, venture capitalists out there as well. Now, speaking about price, right? The slide here, I'm talking about Octopus has room to grow. It is currently ranked 2,903. Like, it's not even the top 2,000 coins. It's almost 3,000 coins. It's got a market cap of 144 million. Now, in times of uncertainty, like low cap, what? 20 million, 30 million, sure. This is only barely 150 million. barely. So I still consider this a low cap gem. It recently went down because it had a bit of a pump, and as of today or yesterday, it was down about 4.2% as well. And it's got a lot of room to grow. It does also have a fixed cap as well, which is not showing on this screen, but it has a fixed cap of coins as well. I know that's something you ask about, Ahmed, as well. Like, what's the total circulating and total supply? I think it's 100 million or so, something like that. 100 million will be the cap. So the inflation metrics, the tokenomics from an inflation point of view are quite solid. It's very finite. And now let's talk about valuation, right? Let's talk about, you know, how could you value this thing? How much could this thing be worth? Well, when you look at Polkadot, it's about $19 billion. You look at Cotton, I've just combined the word Cosmos and Atom, $8 billion. Octopus Network is $230 million, right? There's this website called Market Of, and if you sort of a market cap of, so if you took Octopus's, you know, price and valuation of $3.24 right now, and it had the same market cap of DOT, it would be 161x. Now, don't get too excited about that. Huge disclaimer. That's if Octopus reached the market cap of Polkadot. And why I mention that is because it is a Polkadot alternative. But look at it this way. Don't look at it at 161x. Even if it took 5% of DOT's market cap, 5%, it would still be an 8x from here. Now, I think that's a little bit more realistic, right? In terms of, you know, a projection and valuation. In terms of charting, again, this is kind of like similar to Metis. It's so new, I can't even find a trading view chart on this. And I think you can only get this from Gate.io or one of those, so do your own research there. And that's often another measure too of a really good coin, that you can't get it on a Binance yet. You can't, you know, get it on a Coinbase. If something is on Coinbase, then it's 100x days, you know, the chances of its 100x days being ahead of it is quite slim. But we went all the way to $7. We're sitting at about a 50% discount right now. Not financial advice, look for a good entry point, but it's not the worst time to look into it.
Fantastic. I'm going to have to put that in the bucket list of things to check out over this weekend, and I'll read about it. Okay, so what's going on with Marhaba, guys? I told you guys I have some great news for you guys. I told you guys that I will release some good information here. This is going to be the first place where we're going to release this information before anywhere else. So, but before that information, Sahal Wallet launch date announcement has been made. Go on our Twitter. That's where it's usually things get launched first. Or the
you just said that we were gonna launch it first.
No. So there's another.
I'm playing with you.
Which is gonna come after this information, which is gonna be the first time that information is being shared. But about the Sahal Wallet, the launch date has been announced. It's the 22nd of February, which is huge news. It sounds fantastic that you guys can now know about this. There's gonna be a lot more information about the features within the wallet, and a little bit more details on them will be also announced over this upcoming week and the weeks after, leading up to the date itself. So some exciting stuff there, guys. This is probably one of the most exciting things for me, because one of the hooks that brought me into Marhaba and became one of the founding members of the project was that there's this wallet which is going to be an all-inclusive, and I think we're soon going to take away the name of it being a wallet. We're going to make it like an entire financial platform, because everything's going to be linked to it. So something I'm really excited about. I'm really hoping a lot of people do check it out, do download it, and get involved. Number two, numero dos. What's going on with the exchange launches, guys? Okay, we're on PancakeSwap. We've been trading. Yes, there's volatility, but it's growing slowly. There's some good stuff happening there. What about centralized exchanges? Well, this is the first time we're going to share this news, but yes, we are going to be doing our first centralized exchange launch in the upcoming 2 weeks within February. The exact date I will give you now, with the exact time too. So the date that we're going to be doing our first exchange launch is February the 17th. So you guys can go onto this exchange and start trading there. Or if you don't want to go into a centralized exchange, you can also go and get the Sahal wallet. As I've said, and start trading on the Sahal wallet directly using your credit card, so or your debit card, whatever floats your boat. So yeah, February 17th. Now, which centralized exchange we're going to be launching on? That for that information, you're going to have to go to the Twitter. With the upcoming week, there's going to be a news launch, and you guys can see it exactly which platform, how we're involved with them, and all that stuff. So go on Twitter and check it out there. But now you guys know, February 17th is our first centralized exchange launch. Another really big news is that the liquidity rewards from Marhaba's MRHB.reward website, where you can take your liquidity providing tokens from PancakeSwap and then put it into this liquidity providing reward system that Marhaba set up. That reward system has doubled. So now you can make twice as much for providing liquidity. So if you have Marhaba tokens, or if you don't have Marhaba tokens, this is probably the best time for you to go get your Marhaba tokens and then put them into the liquidity provider. And if you want to know how you can do that, just go to Marhaba's website, mrhb.network. On the top right corner, you'll see the resource button. Just click that resource button. We'll also link this in the description below. When you press the resource button on the top right, you will see guides on, one, how to buy the token on PancakeSwap, and then two, on how to put them into the liquidity provider, and then three, how to actually put them into the Marhaba's website, so you can make that mashallah money, as I said, or you can make that passive income from the token itself, and being in part of PancakeSwap, and then also putting it into the Marhaba.reward website and making money there. So there's going to be 2 times you can make passive income plus the appreciation on token. I mean, it's a frenzy out here of just making money, So check that out whenever you guys get the time. But that's kind of the updates for this week. There's a lot of other small updates which you guys can get on our Twitter and our social medias channels. And yeah, you can check us out on Telegram. We also have our Discord. It's live. Check out us on Discord. We'll also maybe link that in the description. And you guys can join our Discord channels also. Other than that, minor updates, but which you guys can check out on Discord, on our Telegram, on Twitter, and also on our Facebook. We're also on Facebook. So yeah, that's about it. That's our updates. Any last ending sentences from your side, Moby, that people should keep in mind?
No, exciting, man. Well said. Really, really exciting stuff. I can't wait. Guys, this is, always got to sound impartial and objective as possible. And but guys, I've said this before about a lot of other coins, right? And this is not a prediction because it might not happen. But a lot of other coins too, like before they go on exchanges, is often when these announcements are made. That's often when the pump happens. And once it arrives on exchange, there's a lot more liquidity. There's a lot more buyers out there. So it's like everything in life. To get the coin now, you have to do a little bit more work. Of course you do. You have to, get the coin and go on PancakeSwap and, whatever. But it also means your gains are going to be higher as well. By the time it's on Coinbase, it's very, very easy. And, maybe the gains have been made. So I'm not saying that it's going to pump after that, but I'm saying it might not be a bad time to look into it and do your research. And I'm also not saying it's going to be on Coinbase. That was just an example.
Yeah, I was just going to say
yeah. That was just an example. That's just an I'm mixing examples here now, but it's not going to be on Coinbase.
I'll confirm for sure that this first exchange is not Coinbase, but inshallah, we have a lot of discussions going on.
I don't use Coinbase anyway. I actually don't like Coinbase. So Binance would be more exciting for me. But yeah.
My personal issues with Coinbase, I'm not going to talk about either. Even though I'm Canadian and most of Canadians are loving Coinbase because Coinbase is a North American thing, mostly. So, but that's okay. We're not going to talk about that. All right, guys, that sums it up for the show. Thank you so much for watching. As always, take care of yourself. Be nice and kind to others. Be safe. Wear your masks, vaccinations, all that stuff, and protect yourself. Take care of yourself. As always. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.